Welcome back to Edmond State Dynasty. In the last episode, we failed to make a bowl game by finishing the regular season 5-7, but now we get to jump into the offseason and try to get this team just that much better, but there are a few things we need to take care of first. Like, for instance, all of the awards. The Heisman Trophy goes to quarterback Dante Moore at Oregon. He is also going to end up taking home the Player of the Year award. The Head Coach of the Year goes to the head coach at Troy, who has gotten them up to number 8. Yeah, I don't really blame anyone for giving him Head Coach of the Year. Best Quarterback goes to Dante Moore. Best Defensive Player goes to Devon Jackson, but Ty Thompson finishes second in that. Best Defensive Back goes to Ellis Robinson IV at Georgia. The Best Running Back goes to the running back at Troy. The Best Receiver goes to a wide receiver at Colorado State. The Lombardi Award goes to a defensive end at Oregon, but Ty Thompson finishes second, and Stefylen Green is also up here at 5th. I believe they were also there for Best Defensive Player. Let me go back and check. Stefylen Green ended up number 6 on that list. But now moving down here to the Golden Arm Award, that goes to Dante Moore. The Best Defensive End does go to Ty Thompson, though, so we get our first ever award, I believe. I don't think we had anyone there last year. Best Interior Lineman goes to Army. Best Tight End goes to Oregon. The Broyles Award, which is the award for the best coordinator, the first place is the offensive coordinator for Troy. Second place is the defensive coordinator for Troy. So I imagine they are both about to get head coaching jobs. Best linebacker goes to Devon Jackson, who is an outside linebacker at Oregon. The best center goes to Army. The Lou Groza Award, which is the best kicker, goes to New Mexico State. And yeah, that makes sense. He went like 4 of 4 in the last episode whenever we played them. And then the best punter goes to Bowling Green. And the best returner goes to a wide receiver at Cal. Here is what your playoff bracket looks like, and this is a really weird year for the playoffs, I feel like, because the number 1 team in the country is undefeated Oregon, but then the number 2 is Kentucky, who obviously won the SEC, but then Troy goes undefeated and is number 8, but since they are higher rated than everyone else, they get the 3 seed, and Charlotte at 11-2 is number 9, so they get the 4 seed, and then you can see all the other teams that got in on the left. UCF appears to have won the Big 12. Moving on now, Georgia beats UCF 35-21. Clemson wins over Florida 34-31. Texas A&M takes down North Texas 24-21, and Miami takes down Notre Dame 26-14. And then I was really hoping for a wild semifinal since Charlotte and Troy were both here in the next round, but Georgia takes down Charlotte 38-24. Clemson hands Oregon its first loss of the year 27-10. And then Texas A&M destroys Troy 52-10, and it looks like Kentucky has taken down Miami 27-21. And hey, look, for some reason this screen is now back. We get a 3-star defensive tackle in Jeremiah Eagles. For whatever reason, since one of the last updates, that screen has just not been showing, but the national championship will essentially be another SEC championship because Georgia beats Clemson 31-27 and Texas A&M wins 35-14. So 3 of the 4 teams that made the semifinals were SEC teams, which, yeah, that's just insane. But either way, let's figure out who's going to win the national championship game. That would be the Georgia Bulldogs, so they cap off this season with a 15-1 record and a national championship. Now, finally, we can go take a look at the season stats this year. Obviously, our starting quarterback, Morgan Eberle, went down in the very first game of the season with a torn rotator cuff and had to miss the entire year. So he does not have any stats this year, really. He came in and went 2 of 4 for 12 yards. I then tried to roll with Shenard Toure for a while, and it did not go well. He finishes with 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, but Hunter Fain came in and we won a few games here. He finishes with 17 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I don't really know yet if there's going to be a quarterback controversy going into the offseason. Right now, Eberle is the starter, but you also have to remember we landed a 4-star quarterback in recruiting, so he is also going to be up for possibly starting next year. Running the ball, Javius Bond came in with 814 yards and 6 touchdowns, but unfortunately, he did get injured in the final game. It said he had a broken collarbone, unless I was just reading that wrong because it shows he is no longer injured at all. But either way, then Skylar Lewis had 172 yards and 3 touchdowns. Eberle did run for a touchdown before getting hurt, and Marvin Sanders ran in for 4 touchdowns. If you watch the entire season, it is not a shock at all that Lyle Shermer ends up being our leading receiver with 46 catches, 822 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Chadrick Queen, 500 yards and 4 scores. John Hart got 389 and 3 touchdowns. And then Tony Livingston got a touchdown, Zamir Rowe got a touchdown, and Bo McKnight caught a touchdown, along with running back Skylar Lewis. Leading our team in tackles is Carl Wicks, who came away with 87 on the year. Tackles for loss is going to go to Stephylan Green. And in sacks, Ty Thompson got 11.5. Isaiah Hastings got 7. Unfortunately, both of these guys are going to end up leaving after this season. Stephylan Green is a redshirt junior. He's an 84 overall. Now, he could leave after the season, but I'm going to really hope he doesn't. And interceptions, we only got 3 the entire year. 2 from Percy Hooks and 1 from Greg Morris. Our kicker, Sean Augustine, went 10 of 13, 76%, and all 3 of those misses were 100% on me, I believe. And then punting, McSwain punted the ball 74 times. We will see where that stacks up compared to the rest of the country. Well, we at least did not lead the country in punts. 3 punters ended up with 81 punts on the year. Now let's see who is the most accurate kicker this season. Go to this, and it's going to be Adam Samaha. I don't know if I said that name right. He is the kicker at Michigan and went 19 of 19, but Tyreek Lockett at UMass went 20 of 20, and then you had Freddie Joya, who went 23 of 24, so, some really good kickers around the country. But now we move on to the stats that everyone actually cares about. Leading the country in passing yards is Christopher Vizania. I don't know if that's right, but either way, 5,100 yards and 54 touchdowns. Both of those led the country. Where is the Heisman winner? I believe it was the quarterback at Oregon, Dante Moore, 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I'm going to assume you also ran for a few touchdowns, just because I don't really see how you won the Heisman over some of these guys. But interceptions does go to Tyler Cherry at Indiana, who threw 19. But Vizania is right up here with that too. What about completion percentage? Who was the most accurate quarterback in the country? It was Max Brown at Charlotte with a 74% completion percentage. But Vizania also near the top of that. He just threw the ball a ton this year, 532 times. The most rush attempts on the season goes to Justice Haynes, the running back at Georgia, who carried the ball 278 times. He is by far in first place by about 30 carries. The most yards goes to Jalen Buckley at Michigan, who ran for 1,300, and touchdowns goes to Haynes, who got 18 of them. Who led the nation in fumbles? That would be Joe Jackson and Brandon Tullis, so no one from our team, which is really cool to see. Well, we have found Vizania's top target here because Tyler Brown at Clemson had 106 receptions for almost 1,600 yards and 19 touchdowns, but that is going to go to Zach Beverly with 20 and Josiah Trader at Miami, who also caught 20. Leading the nation in tackles is Sean Murphy, the middle linebacker at Florida State. The most sacks is apparently 9.5, even though Ty Thompson got 11.5 for us. And interceptions goes to Bradley O'Connor, a redshirt freshman at Mid-Tennessee State. I don't really like to see that because that means he definitely can't leave yet. I ended up with 40 coach points at the end of the season. I went ahead and bumped them all into tactician. We're up to level 3 on the running back, level 4 on receiver, and level 1 on linebackers. I will try to fill out the rest of this before I move on, but I'm thinking the next thing I'm probably going to go to is the motivator tab. As we move on into the offseason, you can see we're an 83 overall team, 82 overall offense, and an 84 overall defense. We're going to try to get better at that, but I don't really know how much better we're going to get. I don't think it's going to be a big jump like it's been the last couple off seasons, but you can see we are at a risk of a few players to transfer, including our kicker, Sean Augustine. I really don't like to see that. Unfortunately, we do have 3 players that are trying to transfer, including a true freshman in Dexter Costanzo. Let's go ahead and try him first because he is a medium and he has not been persuaded, so he will be entering the portal. All right, can we at least get Jamie Truman back? And F playing style, I highly doubt that, but he is actually going to stay, so that's really good for us. We get a redshirt sophomore back, but what about Chadrick Queen? Can we get him convinced to come back next season? And no, we can't. So we just got him from the transfer portal last year. He's going to enter the portal again. Moving on past those guys, we are losing some really key players though, like defensive back Antoine Copper, who is an 84 overall, left tackle Teron Atkins, right end Isaiah Hastings, running back Javius Bond, who unfortunately was injured in the final regular season game, Cam Crowell, and Ty Thompson. Obviously, Thompson had an amazing year for us. Nick O'Sullivan at left guard, Taven Smalls at receiver, Jonathan Hall at safety, Bo McKnight at receiver, Ben Fowler at receiver. We're losing a lot of receivers, I feel like. Percy Hooks at corner. So we just lost our number 1 and number 2 corners. I really hope the rest of y'all are ready to step up. Middle linebacker Jermaine Bain, and then left end Sean Tobin. Before we start to have some fun in the transfer portal and offseason recruiting, I want to take a look at the draft results. Now, those guys, none of them were projected to get drafted, but that does not mean that they won't get drafted. Just means they're not projected to. And draft results, yeah, no one got drafted, unfortunately. Just a quick recap of our class so far. I managed to bring in 5 4-star players, starting with quarterback Nathan Tuttle. Then we got 2 4-star right tackles in Jamichael Burrow and Scotty Werner. Then we got a 4-star tight end in Casey Nkum and a 4-star defensive end in Jesus Anelli. And obviously, 4 of those guys are gym players. I was sad to see that Tuttle was not one, but I still think he's going to be a pretty solid player for us. Moving on from the 4-stars though, we got several 3-star gems, starting with defensive tackle Jeremiah Eagles. Then we got Garrison Cohen, who is an athlete that seems to be a running back. Evan Foskey, who is another running back. Then we got Daryl Cahill, who is another offensive lineman. Avery Brutus, who is another right tackle. Jalen Waiters, who is another defensive tackle. DeMarco Wicks, who is a backup quarterback most likely. Another defensive tackle in Daryl Judge. Then we got Lamar Komar, a blocking tight end. Then we go into the guys that are not gym prospects, but still felt like they were going to be decent for us. Kari Dragos at tight end, Deshaun Mangold at outside linebacker, and then a couple right guards, and Brian Carlisle and John Duvall. Moving on to the true freshman I would like to bring in, we have Tyler Stepniak, who is going to come in with 85 block shedding if we can land him. I don't care about any of your other attributes. 62 speed, whatever. He can get off blocks with an 85 block shed as a true freshman, should develop okay. Then we have Jerron Carson, who is an athlete, but I believe he's going to be a receiver. 88 speed, 86 jumping, 82 spectacular catch. His catching's only a 73, which is kind of concerning, but I think the spectacular catch may make up for that. Then we have the guys in the transfer portal, and a couple of them I have not even scouted. Left tackle Samuel Crawford and left tackle Johnny Williams IV. I really don't care how good they are. They are 4-star prospects. I will most likely be able to find a spot for them on this team if they want to come here. Then we have defensive end Maurice Davis, and I have scouted these guys, and I really want to bring him in just because 85 speed, 96 acceleration. I cannot see his block shed, but I have a feeling he would be pretty good for us. Then we have 3-star corner Marquise Westbrook, 89 speed, 76 man coverage. Just in case some of our defensive backs don't really develop that well, I think he could come in and maybe play for us in at least 1 or 2 spots. And then we have defensive end Kenya Vickerson, a freshman that is transferring. 81 tackle, 84 block shed, 89 play rec. I really want to bring him in as well. And some good news, we do land defensive end Tyler Stepniak, and we also land wide receiver Jerron Carson. Well, honestly, I do not know if we're going to be able to land Samuel Crawford because Oklahoma is apparently really interested in him. We are going to be bringing him in for a visit, so I'm going to hope we can somehow beat them out. But we are in the lead for Johnny Williams IV, so we should be able to beat out Auburn. That's who that is. I forgot who they were for a second. Then we have Maurice Davis, who we are winning. Marquise Westbrook, who we are winning by a lot over Charlotte. And then Kenya Vickerson. Right now, it looks like none of the top teams are really going after him. So hopefully we should be able to land him. And then I found a 3-star true freshman center and Kylan Hepburn with a gym prospect. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and try to bring him in as well. We do land the left tackle Johnny Williams, but I don't think we're going to get the other one. We do land Maurice Davis, and we land Kenya Vickerson. So let's see, it looks like Crawford has committed to Oklahoma, as I kind of expected he would. We are closer to landing Maurice Westbrook now, and then we have Kylan Hepburn, who we are in the top 8. We're still the only school going after him, but I am now really kicking myself for not scouting this quarterback at the beginning of the transfer portal. I saw he was there. For whatever reason, I decided not to really go after him too hard. Well, I decided just to scout him just for fun. 95 throw power, 86 accuracy on short and medium throws, 80 throw on the run, and 97 speed and 95 acceleration. Yeah, we're going to try to bring this dude in, and I'm going to really hope I didn't come in too late trying to outbid I'm sorry, that's Navy, but I'm going to hope I really didn't come in too late. And I believe this is going to be the only commit we get on this stage, but we do get Marquise Westbrook at corner. As kind of expected, we are still the only school going after Kylan Hepburn here, but Sydney Mouch or Mock, I'm probably going to say Mock, just because I like the way that sounds better. But either way, we're now leading in order to get him, and we have him on a visit this week. So hopefully we can land a brand new quarterback, and this guy's going to immediately be launched into the possible quarterback controversy. But I also added a few new players, like Dion Howden at defensive tackle, safety Calvin Casey, and then I don't think we're going to get this guy, but I really want to try to go after George Sambrelo here, but I think he's going to end up going to Southern Alabama. But here we go, the last week of off-season recruiting. Let's see if we actually manage to land anybody here. We do land Sidney Mouch here, and we land Dion Howden, and we land Calvin Casey. Can we land the other guy? We actually come in and steal this defensive end away from South Alabama, and I believe the other guy is also the center. Kylan Hepburn should also be there, but you know, we didn't like fill him out, but he's still going to be on our list, I assume. Go to National Signing Day, and all the way down here, there he is. So we also land 3-star gem Kylan Hepburn. In case you did not know, I am an Oklahoma Sooners fan, and apparently they are recruiting well in this universe because they just landed 7 5-star players and are the #1 class in the country. But let's see where we rank in our conference. We are the number 24 class in the country and the #1 in our conference. We do have some athletes to take care of, and we're going to start with Evan Foskey, a 69 overall athlete. I imagine, yeah, this guy's just going to go right to running back. We then have DeMarco Wicks, who is listed as a quarterback. Are you better anywhere else? You're apparently a 69 overall tight end. That's pretty interesting. You're also 6'3" and 190 pounds. I don't really think you should be going to play tight end. Let's just go ahead and put you at quarterback. Next up is going to be Jerron Carson, who is listed as a physical guy, so he should be a receiver, but he seems to be a much better safety, possibly tight end. He's 6'5", 211, so he's a bit closer to being a tight end. Let's go check out his coverage ratings, though. And I don't really like the way you have to do this every single time, but let's scroll all the way over here and see if I don't completely pass it like I generally do. And his play rate is a 68. His tackle is a 64, so he's probably not going to start immediately. That zone coverage is a 74, though, and he's 6'5". Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and move Carson over to safety. I just need to know if it's going to be free safety or strong safety, because right now at wide receiver, I feel like we're pretty well set, at least for right now. Obviously, they're not terrific, like the best receiving core in the country, but they're not bad either. I think we're going to move him over to free safety and sit behind these two redshirt seniors. And the final athlete we have is Garrison Cohen, who is usually a running back here. He's only 5'9", 178 pounds. But just out of curiosity, let's go take a look at his coverage ratings. 70 zone coverage, 73 man, 71 pursuit, 64 tackles, 68 hit power, 63 play rec. What would you be rated at corner? Because those are some pretty decent coverage ratings. He'd be a 72 overall fullback, apparently. We're not going to do that one. He'd be a 69 overall safety, a 68 overall corner, or a 67 overall running back. We're going to go ahead and put him at corner. And I will tell you right now, there are going to be some quarterbacks getting cut on this list. Obviously, we do not know how well these guys are going to progress yet because we have not gotten to the training results. But yeah, I'm probably not going to go into the season with this many quarterbacks on the roster. Following the offseason recruiting, I had 20 coach points to use, and I went ahead and used them all into the secondary. So we have upgraded that all the way to level 4 on the tactician tab, so they should get a nice boost. And now it is time to see how much better everyone got through the training results, and we're going to really hope that our quarterbacks really improved. Alright, Morgan Eberle goes up to an 80 overall, Shenard Toure is now a 79, Hunter Fain is a 77, Stephen Kuma, who was a redshirt last year, is up to a 75, and Terrell Duval, it really looks like you're probably not going to make the team at a 72 overall. At running back, Skylar Lewis is now an 85 overall, Marvin Sanders is an 81, Swain is a 77, and then Shaq Marcus is a 76. None of our receivers taking a massive jump. Well, Boswell might have. He's up to a 78 overall. He may find the field a bit this year, along with Jabari Yabo. I'm going to really hope that's how you say his name. He's up to a 77, but we are getting some nice speed here in the receiver room, along with Lyle Shermer, who is now a 94 speed and a 79 overall. That is definitely a jump for Tony Livingston. I believe he was a 77 overall before. He is now an 85 overall. His backup, Dion Earl, is a 72. Then we get a 69 and a 67. Left tackle, Tyler Angel, is up to an 85 overall. Left guard is going to be an 84, 84, and a 76. At center, we get an 87, an 84, and an 81. Right guard is a 91 overall in Kyle Adams, so he is really good, obviously. Then we get an 81 overall in John Ward. And then at right tackle, an 81 in Jacques Leota. And then a 74 overall in Lonnie Dunbar. Along the defensive line, Samuel Riddy Jr. is now an 82. We get a 79, a 77, and a 77. At right end, we get an 84 overall from Emmett Wall, an 82 from Brett Wilkes, and an 80 overall from Anthony Fielder. And then defensive tackle, Stephylon Green up to a 90 overall for us. That is going to be massive. Emone Smalls is an 84, Cam Toon is an 82, and then Taven Wade is a 79. Moving on to the linebacker unit, Wes Spears is now an 82 overall with a platinum outside disruptor badge and a gold inside disruptor badge. That could be massive for us. Eric Free is now an 80, and Eric Harper is now a 70. At middle linebacker, Jaden Bethea goes up to an 84. Backup Owen Hollings is now a 78. Then we get a 76 from Warren Steven and a 72 from George Incognito. At right outside linebacker, we get an 81 in Marco Goodwin, a 75 in John Brink, and a 75 from Enrique Celestin. I am not trying to jinx our secondary, but we may have a really good set of corners this year. Greg Morris is up to a 90 overall, and then Jamie Truman is an 82. Redshirt freshman Chauncey Pack is an 82, and I'm just now realizing I meant to show you guys this, but I never did. Chauncey Pack is our first player that came in with an elite dev trait, so I'm really excited to see what he can become for this team, and I'm really hoping it's a #1 corner eventually. Lyle Bowe up to an 81, Burfict is now a 75, Torrance is a 75, the guy we just brought in, Marquise Westbrook, may not even find the field at a 75 overall. Then we got Morig at a 69, and Cohen at a 68. It looks like there may be some sort of competition here at free safety because Devontae Mappa has upgraded pretty decently up to an 81 overall, competing with Carl Valentine. Mappa is a little bit slower, and then Valentine has a little bit higher awareness, but Mappa does have a higher play rec. What about zone coverage? He has higher zone as well, so we'll have to see exactly how well that goes, and there are going to be a few position battles, I think. Strong safety is not going to be one of them because Carl Wicks is an 84 overall, and no one else is really even close. Our kicker, Sean Augustine, just straight up doesn't improve at all. He stays a 78 overall, and our punter also stays a 69 overall. We now have 3 players that with their current boost are into the 90 overall, and that is going to be massive this year. I feel like expectations for this team have to be pretty high. We are now an 85 overall team, an 85 overall offense, and an 86 overall defense. But now it is time for my least favorite part of the offseason, the encouraged transfers. How many players do we need to cut this year? We need to cut 13. I did slightly over-recruit, as you guys probably noticed, but I felt like there were definitely some talent in the recruiting pool that were going to be better than what we currently had. And I had kind of already told you guys that Terrell Duval was not going to make the team, so he is going to be getting cut along with Steven Kuma. I understand he upgraded himself to a 73 overall, but I feel like with the guys we brought in, he would be better off trying to go find another team. I don't know if they've changed it yet, but I know the last time I checked that whenever you cut freshman and sophomore, they will end up on other teams sometimes, but juniors and seniors just kind of disappear, which is unfortunate, but at least Kuma will be able to go find another team. Jumping all the way over to left end, Colin Jordan, who is a redshirt junior at a 73 overall, is also behind a redshirt senior. I think we're just going to go ahead and cut both of these guys because neither one of them are going to be able to find the field. The next player getting cut is middle linebacker George Incognito, just because he's behind 2 redshirt freshmen. Never really going to see the field here. And I'm going to say we are safe to cut Emmett Morig here at corner, a 67 overall redshirt freshman. I don't really think you're going to develop into anything. And because of the development of Devontae Mappa, Jalen Emerson, you are also getting cut. Looking at strong safeties now, CJ Turner, your zone coverage is a 68. So yeah, you're a redshirt senior, you're getting cut as well. And I think I have a plan here. I know Shenard Toure started for us last season for a few games. I was really excited about his speed, but being a redshirt sophomore the same year as Eberle here, and with Fane just being a better quarterback, and I believe Toure will end up on another team if I cut him. Hopefully that's the way it works. We're going to go ahead and cut Shenard Toure as well and give him a chance to go somewhere else and start again. We still need to cut 4 more players, and I am looking at Anthony Fielder here because of a 58 block shedding. I don't really think you're going to be able to do anything if you even found the field, so you're getting cut as well. I believe we have plenty of outside linebackers on the roster because over at right outside linebacker, we have 4 of these guys. So at left outside linebacker, we're going to be cutting Eric Harper. I still need to cut 2 more players from this team, and it's honestly getting really difficult, but I think the next one's going to be Emone Smalls. He has 76 block shed, which is really close to Howden, the guy that we just brought in. But if you scroll all the way over here, we can see that his play rec is a 73 and everyone else is actually really high. So yeah, Emone Smalls is a redshirt senior. I'm sorry, but I am going to be cutting you. And the final player getting cut is going to be Stanley Burfict. He is one of the slower corners that we have. His awareness is not great. And then his man coverage is a 68, which is the lowest on the team, even behind a true freshman in Cohen. So perfect, you are also gone, and we have now cleared the roster down to 85 players. Here is how our schedule will look next season. We will start with a home game against Nevada, and then we get a home game against Tulsa. Then we travel to Norman to take on the Sooners like we do every single season until I can beat them at this point. Florida International will kick off our conference schedule. Then we are at Western Kentucky. Then we get away from conference play and we'll host Memphis. Then we are at UTEP, at Liberty, at Sam Houston. So we have a 3-game road stretch there. Then a home game against Louisiana Tech, a bye week, and then back-to-back home games against Jacksonville State and New Mexico State. There is quite a bit to do before our first game of the season. I have to set up our recruiting board and our red shirts, but I also need to go in and set the depth chart, which means I will have to decide who in the hell will be our starting players on this team. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you next time.